this is Jennifer Stay from Coloring Pages Bliss, and here we are, the inevitable Polychromos versus Prismacolor video. You've been asking for it, and I'm ready to do it for you, but we're going to do it a little different because it's been done to death here on YouTube, and it's controversial and unnecessary to do it again. So I'm going to do my version, and my version is to give you the tools that you need to be able to make this decision for yourself. Now, on my website, I have this amazing download that is free. All you need to do is sign up to become a free member. It's always free, never will charge you, and I keep your information private, and so you can feel secure in becoming a free member on my website. Once you become a free member, you can download this scorecard, and you will be able to follow along on this video and score for yourself and find out, based on this criteria, which set of pencils is best for you and your art style. This is an amazing tool. It's going to put the power in your hands and be able to make decisions moving forward between any two sets of pencils. And today we're just going to be comparing Prismacolor and Polychromos, but if there's a set of pencils that you would like me to compare, please comment below, because I would love to do more of these comparison videos, but I need feedback from you to know what you would like to know. Okay, so what we're going to do with this video is you can follow along with your scorecard and score it for your criteria, and you'll see me scoring it for my criteria. Now, if you just want to know how the scoring comes out for me, then just go ahead and fast forward to the end of this video and you'll find out which set of pencils I should be using all the time. And if you want to follow along with each step and find out which set of pencils you should purchase, then like I said, go download this free scorecard and you can follow along and find out for yourself which set of pencils is right for you. All right, so let's get started. We're going to start out with a biggie, and that is which is the best price value. And I've added the caveat of for your area. Now this is a big deal for Prismacolor and the Polychromos, because in the United States and Canada, the Prismacolors are more readily available and a better value. And so if you live in those areas, then you need to give a check or a point to the Prismacolors, and that's where I live, and so my Prismacolors get a check for that. Now if you live in the Europe area or UK, then your Polychromos will get a check, because you guys can get your hands on the Polychromos much easier than we can, and they are much more affordable. Now the next thing is on the best quality packaging. So when you purchase Prismacolor, it comes in a cardboard box with a magnet closing up front. Let me show that to you. It's got a little magnet closing, and then inside are your typical plastic trays that hold all the pencils. Now if you buy smaller sets, I've seen them come in tins, I've seen them come in plastic packaging, so there's a variety of packaging for Prismacolor. Now let's look at some Polychromos packaging. This is the packaging that my Faber-Castell Polychromos came in. I got the 60 set, and then I've been adding on as I go, and it came in a nice tin set. Now everything I've ever seen come in for the Polychromos have been in tins, which I think is fantastic. And the tins are hinged and then have your typical plastic trays inside. So I think, in my opinion, Faber-Castell wins on packaging because they always come in these incredible tins. So I'm going to give my point to Faber-Castell Polychromos. Of course, you get to choose on your scorecard. But for my scorecard, I'm giving the point to best quality packaging to the Polychromos. Okay, the next item on the list is, are the pencils available open stock? Now, in my area, I can get any of these pencils open stock through Amazon. I can also get Prismacolor's open stock in several of my local hobby and art supply stores. I can get the Polychromos open stock in one of my local art stores, but not all of them, just 60 of them. And so that's a little harder for me to get these open stock. And of course, open stock, the Polychromos are more expensive than the Prismacolor pencils are. So I'm going to give my point to the Prismacolor for the best open stock availability for me. Now, this is also according to your area, and so you're going to want to check and see. In Europe, you're probably going to be able to give your point to the Polychromos. Pencil appearance and info is the next one we're going to look at. Let's go ahead and bring this pencil up here and look at a Prismacolor first. Prismacolors are a nice pencil because I think they have a really easy to read print on them. I like that they're silver. The print is very legible. It's easy to read the numbers. The ends are open, which I like because you can see if the core has been centered into the wood really nicely. So when you're at your store and you're purchasing your open stock pencils, you can double check to make sure that the cores have been centered correctly. So I really like that about these. They're round, which I don't really mind what shape a pencil is. That doesn't bother me one way or another. So I like the Prismacolor pencils. Now let's look at the Polychromo. Polychromos, I think, are a beautiful pencil. They have this really pretty gold band right here. They have their logo here and their name here. Here's the color here, and I do have a little trouble reading the gold print. I don't know if it's just me, but I have to kind of move it in the light to be able to read this tiny little print right here. So I do have a little trouble reading the Polychromos. Now, one thing that the Polychromos do better than the Prismacolor is that they have these little stars here, which refers to the light fast quality. We're going to talk more about light fast in just a minute. And so I really like that they provide that on their pencils. Now on the end of the pencil, they have a closed cap, which I think is really pretty, but I don't like that you can't see the core itself and see if it's been centered properly. I've never had problem with the Faber-Castell Polychromos being off-center, but I'd sure like to be able to double check that when I'm purchasing pencils individually. The other thing that's different about the Faber-Castell Polychromos is that their pencils are larger. When you see them all laid out here, I've got the same number of pencils on both sides. If we line them up evenly, you can see that these take up more space across the paper than the Prismacolor, and that's because the barrel is larger on the Polychromos. I kind of like that. It's a little heftier in the hand. It feels nice in the hand, but it can cause an issue with pencil sharpeners. Most of the time it doesn't, but if you have some of these sharpeners that are a little more gimmicky, like this Tagal, it's a little tighter fit to get the Polychromos inside. Just a little note. Okay, so pencil appearance and info. It's really hard because I love that I love the gold band, and I love that the light fast info is here, but I love that this is open and I can double check the centering of the core. And I love that the print is bigger over here. So for me, I'm going to give pencil appearance and info the check to Prismacolor. That might surprise some of you, but I really do have a hard time reading the writing on the Polychromos pencil. Maybe that's because I'm an old lady. But once again, you guys get to do your own scorecard, and if you'd like to give that check to the Polychromos, then go for it. Okay, core size. Both of these pencils have a 3.8 millimeter core. So even though this pencil here has a bigger barrel, it's just the wood that's bigger. Both of them have the same amount of core, which is pretty cool to me. So they score evenly. So you can either just leave that blank or you can give them each a point. I'm going to go ahead and give them each a point for core size because they're equal. Number of colors available. Okay, on this one we've got Prismacolor has 150 total colors available, and over here we've got Polychromos with 120 total colors available. So right off the bat, we've got Prismacolor that wins on the number of colors available. Now, that's going to change just a little bit when we get to the light fastness, and I'm going to show you that on the next line. But for now, I'm going to give the point to Prismacolor because they have 30 extra colors. Okay, speaking of light fast statistics. Now, light fast means that over time, as it's exposed to light, the colors will either stay true or they may fade. And all pencils that are of artist quality are tested to some sort of standard. Now, this gets really confusing. If you've ever done any studying on this, it is amazingly confusing, and I think I'm going to do an entire video dedicated to just that because I'm learning tons of information about that. Prismacolor pencils are being tested with one standard. Polychromos are being tested with a totally different standard. So for today and right now, we're going to just move forward and assume that all things are equal with their light fast information. So let me show you what their websites are providing. Now, Prismacolor, you have to follow a link to get to their light fast information, and that link will be in the description of this video. And it takes you to this chart, and it gives you every single color, all 150 plus. Way down here at the bottom is their colorless blender, and they are using the ASTM D6901-06 standard, which I'll explain at another video. Basically, you've got a 1 for excellent, a 2 for very good, and so on. Now, if you are just a colorist who loves to just hobby color, and then your art is being put away and you're not worrying about it so much about being exposed to UV light, and you're just coloring for fun, relaxation, and stress relief, then light fast information is not very important to you. And if I were you, I would just cross this line out and move on. But if you are an artist, professional artist, or if you are coloring so that you can hang these pieces of art up or give them as gifts, and you want the colors to stay vibrant and last for, say, 25 years or for your grandchildren or so on, then this information is important. Right here it looks like, wow, 150 beautiful colors. But if you were to remove everything that scores from good, fair, and poor out, because those things are only going to last for 5 years or less when exposed to UV light, then what you're left with are only the colors that are not highlighted in blue, which is only 85 colors. So there are only 85 colors left in the Prismacolor Premier line that score excellent or very good, and those will last for 25 to 100 years when exposed to UV light. So that is a drastic drop in the colors that are available. Some professional artists, when they receive a set of colors, a set of color pencils, will go through and remove anything that doesn't meet that criteria. So automatically everything highlighted in blue will get removed, and they will only ever create art with things that will score with a 1 and a 2. So that really does limit their color palette. Okay, let's look at the Polychromos and see how they do. Okay, this is a chart that I'll have a link to on the video description as well. And they have their 120 different colors. Now, they are using a different standard, and it is called the blue wool standard, and this is a standard that has been used in Europe for a long time, but mainly for paints, and that's where things get confusing. Now they're using stars instead of 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, and 5s, but basically if you have 3 stars or 2 stars, then you've got a 1 or a 2 rating. So what we want to see in the Polychromos are 3 stars and 2 stars. Like I said, it gets very confusing. So I went through their chart and did the same thing I did over here with the Prismacolors and removed everything that only had a 1-star rating, because as a professional artist, that's what you would do. Remove anything that isn't going to last 25 years or longer. And let's look at how their chart now looks. And that only removed 2 colors. And so with the Polychromos in the end, as a professional artist looking at light, fast colors, you have 118 colors to choose from in the Polychromos line. And so that really changes things. At first we had 150 versus 120, but as an artist looking at colors with light fastness, now we have 85 Prismacolors and 118 Polychromos to choose from. That's a big deal as a professional artist. Okay, so on my scorecard, Polychromos is going to win a point for their light fast statistics. The next thing I want to show you, 2 color wheels that I colored. Now, if you want to know how I picked these colors, these are 12 colors from the color wheel. If you want to know how I picked them, I have a link to a video where I chose a whole bunch of colors for a color wheel plus a light, medium, and darks for each of the colors, so you can go check that out. Now, what I did was I colored a color wheel with Prismacolors and I colored a color wheel with the Polychromos, and I haven't labeled which one is which, and I'm going to bring those up now. And I want you to look at both color wheels. This is not about guessing which one was colored with which pencils. This is more about which one do you prefer the look of. Kind of look at the vibrancy of the colors. I want you to look at the way the colors laid down. I tried to be very consistent with the way I laid them down. I want you to look at, if I had to choose one of these color wheels and use those colors in my art, which color wheel would I choose? The color wheel on the left or the color wheel on the right? And if you need to pause right now and ponder that for a minute before I reveal to you which color wheel is which, then go ahead and do that. And I'm going to look at them here in the studio light and decide for me which color wheel I would choose. And for me, looking at them, this one has more vibrant colors. I think that I could get more pow for my every stroke. This one appeals to me more. This one, the colors seem to have gone down smoother. Everything looks just smoother, which I really like that. This one over here, the strokes don't look quite as smooth and consistent. So, but I do love a vibrant color for my kind of art. So I would have to choose this one. That would be my pick, which now I will reveal. This was colored with Prismacolors, and this one here was colored with the Polychromos. Okay, so on your scorecard, depending on which wheel you chose, you get to give a point to either the Polychromos or the Prismacolors. I chose this wheel, so my Prismacolor line gets the point. going to talk about the white pencils. Now, I use white a lot for blending and for adding little highlights and for hiding mistakes, and so white is a very important pencil in my art. I'm going to bring up a piece of black paper here, and we're going to test the Prismacolor. Oh, wait. I knew I was going to get these mixed up a lot. This is the Polychromos pencil. And I'm going to just lay down some of that. I'm doing kind of medium to heavy pressure here. And over here, this is the Prismacolor. And that tip broke right away. Okay, so there's the two, and you can look at it for yourself and choose which one you like. It's kind of the same story as what we saw with the color wheel. Here we've got a very smooth coverage. The strokes look very smooth. Here the strokes are not quite as smooth. You get almost a chalkier look, but you get a much more opaque white. And that's that soft, waxy core. That's what you get with those waxier, softer pencils. And so I am going to give the point to my Prismacolor because I really love a very opaque white. And so for you, you get to choose whichever one is more important to you, and you can give a point on your scorecard. Prismacolor gets the white on black. And I think I put the wrong check over here. You guys are probably all like, you put the wrong check in the wrong place. So I'm going to move my check over here to Prismacolor because I preferred the Prismacolor color wheel. Okay, now we're going to look at the black pencil. Sometimes these pencil sets come with a black that is not very true in value. Let me grab a good piece of paper here. Now, if you're interested in what kind of paper I'm using, then why don't you go ahead and check out the link in the video description where I have a link to this paper. This is my favorite color pencil paper that I love to use. Okay, so this is the Prismacolor black that I am going to color first here. I like my black pencil to be a good, strong, deep black. When I reach for a black pencil, it needs to be black. So I'm going to do kind of a light value on the side like that, and then I'm going to work to a more burnished black color, a really deep value. See how deep of a value I can get down here. Now, I've done a full review on both the Prismacolor and the Polychromos pencils, and I'm going to put links to both of those full reviews. Now, these are extremely in-depth reviews. I think each of them were close to an hour long, where I did different kinds of blending, different kinds of layering. I also did a full coloring example at the end, so you can see how each of these pencils perform. So if you're getting closer to purchasing either one of these pencil sets and you want even more information about them, go check out those videos because they have tons of information that I'm not even getting to with this quick head-to-head comparison that we're doing. We can talk a little bit about the content of the core. I didn't include that as one of the variables on this scorecard because For me, a color pencil, it doesn't need to be either wax or oil-based to perform well. It doesn't even need to be hard or soft core to perform well. It's all about these other variables that I have listed. But we can mention it here. Polychromos is an oil-based. It's primarily oil-based, although it does have wax in it as well. But because it's oil-based, that's why I think we're getting such a nice smooth lay down. But just on first glance, I can tell we're getting a much better black here than we did with the Polychromo black. And if we bring up this value chart here, which I have on my little handy color wheel, when you match this up over here, I wonder if I can get it in under, aha, that's better. You can see that this value is just clearly straight on with the black value 1. And so it's beautiful. I love the Prismacolor black when you need a nice crisp black line along an edge or something. The Prismacolor black is dependable. It's thickly lays down. It's beautiful. I love the Prismacolor black. So that's wonderful. If you come over here again, let's get this under here and look. I would say that this Polychromos black is closer to maybe a value 2 black. It's just not quite as deeply pigmented as the Prismacolor black is. And then when you move it in the light though, sometimes the Prismacolor will get a bit of a shine because of the wax-based core, and you can see that here, but so does the Polychromos. I get shine off my Polychromos as well. So I don't, like I said, I don't really mind what the core is made of. It's all about these other variables on the list. Okay, so for me, Prismacolor wins the black point because of the deep value that we got out of it. Okay, now we're going to see which one we can get to sharpen to a fantastic, beautiful point. When you're doing those amazing tiny details of coloring and art, you need a pencil that will come to a beautiful point. I've got my Alvin brass bullet sharpener here. I prefer to do handheld sharpening for my pencils, so that's what we're going to do here. And I hold my pencil still and move that sharpener around the pencil. That protects the core, especially on these soft core pencils. And Prismacolor is a soft core pencil, so it has a bad reputation right now for some of the quality control issues it's had. I've heard rumors that the Prismacolor quality control issues are being taken care of and getting better, so I'm hopeful that that is taken care of now. Okay, look at that beautiful sharp point we got on the Prismacolor. Now let's do the same thing with the black Polychromos pencil and see if we can get a beautiful sharp point for that one. Polychromos have a stellar reputation for their quality control. I've never heard anyone having problems with Polychromos. Of course, with all color pencils, you need to treat them well. Don't drop them. I keep mine in a really nice case when I carry them around so that they always stay really good and you don't have problems with them. Okay, that is the Polychromos. We got a beautiful point for that pencil as well. Okay, so as you can see, when you use a good color pencil, when you use a good pencil sharpener and the right technique, you can get a good point for both of them. So they both get a point for sharpening to a beautiful point. All right, now can they hold a point though? That is one thing that is kind of tricky with some pencils. So what we're going to do is with these two black pencils that I just sharpened, I've got this same paper that I like. It's got a bit of a tooth, so it's perfect for drawing with and coloring with color pencils. I've got this ruler that is a 12-inch long ruler, and I'm going to take each pencil and draw some lines with them. Let's take this away from underneath so it's fair. And I'm going to do it this way. Let's see if I can get there. I'm going to draw 3 lines with each pencil, and at the end we're going to see how much of a tip is left, and then we'll know if how long they'll hold a point. So let's start with Prismacolor, and I'm just going to do light to medium-ish pressure because that's pretty much what you would do when you're drawing. And I just felt that tip snap on the Prismacolor. The soft core on these pencils, on the Prismacolor Premier pencils, does not like to hold a point when you put pressure on them. Okay, now I'm going to show you. Here is where we started, and we have this beautiful line with that sharp point. And then the more we drew with it, here's the end of where we drew the lines. And you can see the line gets wider and wider as the point gets duller and duller. Okay, let's do the same test with the Polychromo pencil and see how it does. Let's see if that point will break like the Prismacolor did. Okay. Oh, I heard it snap a little bit, but hardly at all. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so here again, this is the very beginning when the point was as sharp as possible. And down here is where it's been used now, has less of a point left. And I would say it's holding its point better. The lines aren't as wide. So let's take a peek at both of them. And I would say that the Polychromo pencil held its point better than the Prismacolor pencil did. So the point for this point, oh my goodness, I'm going to give the point to Polychromo for holding its point the best. Okay, the next test is the 2-inch square burnishing test. So we're going to draw up a couple squares here. Okay, so the point of this test is to see, we want to get rid of all the white inside this square, but I want to do it without burnishing. Burnishing is when we use heavy pressure with our pencil to basically push the pigment and the fillers, the waxes, the oils of the pencil into all the tooth, the cracks, the texture of the paper until there is no more white of the paper left. Now, what I wanted to find out was how many layers, there's 1, does it take, and we'll go this way, using each kind of pencil to achieve the same thing, getting rid of all of the white, only without burnishing. So we're going to do different directions with these strokes and see if one pencil covers better than the other. I'm going to sharpen it now because a sharp pencil works best for this technique. The tip of that pencil, if it's sharp, it can get down into the tooth of that paper better and fill up those tiny little valleys of the paper. The other thing that helps with this technique is rotating your pencil periodically to expose the paper to a fresher, sharper point of that pencil. Okay, so that's 3. I feel like it still has a lot of white showing. We're going to go for 4. Okay, that's 4 layers. I don't know if doing another layer is going to make any much of a difference here. I'm going to stop there and let's see how the Prismacolor does. Okay, there's one. I'll sharpen it just like I did with the Polychromos. Okay, after 3 layers with the Prismacolors, I would say we're about the same depth of color as we are after 4 layers with the Polychromos. So I think that I'm going to stop there and declare the Prismacolors the winner at 3 layers. It only takes 3 layers to achieve the same amount of coverage as it takes 4 layers of the Polychromos. Okay, now we get to move back to the black paper. And we're going to see how the colors look, not just the white, but how all the colors look on black, and do a quick side-by-side comparison. Just comparing, overall I'm impressed with both of them. I think you could come up with some beautiful art whether you chose the Polychromos or the Prismacolor. I think again you're getting a more vibrant color out of the Prismacolor, so I'm going to give my point to the Prismacolor pencils. Okay, the next thing that we're going to test is the creating of crumbs when we're coloring. When you're using a non-soluble pencil like we are here, creation of crumb is a waste of product. So we're going to see which kind of pencil creates the most crumb waste. Let's start with Prismacolor with a light pressure. Good. And the Polychromos with a light pressure. Good. Okay, medium pressure with the Prismacolor. Medium pressure with Polychromos. Okay, and we're going to sharpen both up really good and do the final heavy pressure. Okay, starting with Prismacolor, I'm going to do a nice heavy pressure. Of course, we see that tip break because we're working with a soft core pencil. Okay. And then a nice heavy pressure here with the Polychromo. Now if we zoom in there, we can definitely see that there is more crumbs over here on the Prismacolor than there is on the Polychromo side. But it's not like a huge amount of crumbs for the Prismacolor. We did have the tip break. So I'm going to give the point to Polychromo for having the least amount of crumbs. One problem that I wanted to test is that some pencils, the pigment will rub off onto your hand as you're working on your piece of art, and it can become a problem. Now, you can see some of it's happening over here as you're working and make your art messy. Now, some pencils are worse at this than others, so I wanted to test this problem. So let's use a nice, fresh, clean tissue. I'm just going to gently wipe across the Polychromo, and we see, and then gently wipe across the Prismacolor. Okay, from what I see here, I would say that the Polychromo had more pigment rub off than the Prismacolor, but we're going to test that again. Let me mark it so we don't forget. Let's test it up here on these blue greens. Do the same thing. Let's wipe the Polychromo, and then let's wipe the Prismacolor. And that time I would think that the Prismacolor lifted more. Prismacolor, and this is the Poly. Let's try the black. This is very interesting to me. Prismacolor. Same texture. I'm not getting into this different texture of the tissue. I'm using the same texture and the same pressure. That time it was definitely more of the Polychromo wiped up. You can even see there. So we tested 3 spots, 3 different colors. And I would say 2 out of the 3 Polychromo had more pigment wipe off. So I'm going to give Prismacolor the point for being better at not wiping and smudging. The last test that we're going to perform here, and they kind of will answer the question for both of these here, is a quick blending test. We're going to use Jennifer's rule of blending thirds, and if you'd like to learn more about that, you can go check out the video that is linked in the video description. And I just want to kind of show you how they layer and blend, and that's what Jennifer's rule of blending thirds is great at. Okay, there's the Polychromos blended. Let's do the same procedure with the Prismacolor. Personally, I really like the look of the Prismacolor one. The colors are much more vibrant. So I'm going to give the point to Prismacolor. And I also am going to give the point to Ease on Hand to Prismacolor as well. Now what this point is for is because I have chronic paint, I'm always looking for a pencil that is easy to use. I don't have to work hard, don't have to push hard to get the pigment to come out. Often with Prismacolor, I almost feel like I'm having to hold myself back to use even less pressure than I would on any other pencil because there is so much pigment coming out of that pencil. And so I love that about Prismacolor because I can color longer and have more blissful, colorful time with my Prismacolor pencils. Now that we've come to the end, I want to remind you that you can score this either way. There is no right or wrong answers here. There's also room for bonus points. There's often times that some of these may weigh heavier for you than others, like the light fast statistics. This might be a deal breaker for you if you need pencil that has a high light fastness and you need lots of colors to choose from. Then you might want to give an extra point to Polychromos for their light fast scores. If you have an artist friend that really recommends the Polychromos to you over the Prismacolors, then maybe you'd want to give the Polychromos a bonus point at this point. That might be really important to you. Another thing is maybe you have a coupon or a discount that applies to one or the other, and that is a big variable to you because budget is an issue. Then maybe you want to give a bonus point to one or the other. Another bonus point possibility is one or the other just excites you more, it inspires you more, and you've always wished for that set. So go ahead, give your set that you've always dreamed of having a bonus point just for that. So go ahead and give a few bonus points if you feel so inclined. It's your scorecard. You get to do what you want to. So I'm going to go ahead and tally it up and see where I'm at. Wow, check that out. Honestly, I'm a little surprised. I thought the scores would be much closer, but no, it's obvious from this that the Prismacolor Premiers are the brand for me. So when you took this test, what was your test results? What score did Prismacolor get? What score did your Polychromos get? Please comment below. I would love to know if you think that this was a useful test for you. Also, do you think there is something I left out over here or that I should have done differently? I love to have positive, constructive conversations with my community. It helps us all to learn from each other. So please fill up those comments and let me know what other brands you would like me to compare. Make sure you're following me over on Facebook where I do occasional polls as I decide what brands to do reviews on. And also make sure you hit that like button and share this video out with someone else who you think needs a little help with deciding between Prismacolor Premier and Faber-Castell Polychromo pencils. Thanks again for watching, and I look forward to doing another video like this very soon. We'll see ya. Bye-bye.